Okay, go.
Wherever there's a video, sorry. What's going on?
Welcome, welcome. Good to be back.
Good to be back.
All right.
All right. Not going to say I'm going to be here the whole time, guys. I'm lagging pretty bad on my end, so I don't want to slow you guys down or interrupt you guys. But we already got some folks jumping on here. We got Robert, Scott, Amy. Yeah, that's good. Sean's like, I didn't even put my thumb up, and it did the thumbs up over here. So, all right, we got 11 folks in here watching. So today we got some of the anglers from the Florida Kayak Bass Trail Toho event. The top finishers, Tim and Jason. We're going to spend some time with us this evening, and we're going to kind of go through what made them successful out on Toho and what their expectations was going into the event versus the results at the end. So, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some changing in the leaderboard for Lake Toho and what kind of drove that change. If you guys haven't looked at Fishing Chaos later or Fishing Chaos since the tournament, you're going to notice that some things kind of changed at the top of the leaderboard. So we're going to discuss what led to that, but we're not going to start off with that. We're going to start off with Todd. He's going to talk to Tim and Jason here. We got some questions for you guys. Love for you guys to share what it is that you did, introduce yourself again, and just kind of, and we'll go from there. So I'll turn it over to Todd and let him do his part. And then if you guys have questions for Jason or Tim or any of us, drop them in the comment section below, and we will periodically answer them as they come across.
All right. Well, welcome, guys. And first off, congratulations on your great finish there at Toho. And so first, we'll go ahead and start off with Jason here. Jason, you are now in second place.
Yes, sir.
And so won't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, how you got into kayak fishing, just a little overview there.
Well, I'm actually originally pretty much from Florida, grew up right in Highlands County, dead center of the state. Did a little fishing growing up, living here, you got to fish. Moved up to North Carolina, and that's when I really actually got into doing the tournaments, fishing off a kayak. Just got into it from a friend and just jumped right in. Started doing tournaments up there and moved back down here in 2019, gave it a little bit and decided to join your club and, just enjoying it so far.
Here we are. Excellent, excellent. And Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and all that good stuff.
I'm living down in Fort Lauderdale. I've been here since '94, so a long time. I got into kayak bass fishing maybe 10 years ago. Actually, Randy Newton had a feel-free kayak, and I never had fished from a kayak. I liked the idea, but sitting low just didn't set with me in my back. There's no way I'd do it. So he kind of introduced me to the kayaks that you sit up more, and they're comfortable. So I started doing that. I started doing the trail series a little bit. I took last year off. My fishing abilities seemed to go downhill quickly. So I took a year off. For some reason, I just started not catching fish. So, but, joining in this season. So it's a good start so far.
Maybe I need to take a year off because that's the way my fishing has been this year. Is my fish catching abilities have not been very good. So, well, we'll go back over here to you, Jason, real quick. So, what kind of kayak do you fish out of?
Fish out of a Hobie PA 14. Right
All
now,
right.
no motor, fished with no electronics the last few tournaments. So just going old school.
Excellent. Excellent. You know what? I think that is a good way to go. I think if I cut my electronics off, I'd probably do much better. I would be paying more attention to the water than the electronics, you know? So,
Absolutely. Got to learn to read the water. You learn to read the water, you're going to catch the fish.
yeah, absolutely. So tell us, Lord, out there, Saturday morning. So we got on the water. Just kind of tell us how your day went.
Started out hot. Launched out of Southport. Um, about 15 minutes in, had the first fish on. Didn't even put it on the leaderboard. Just kept fishing, and before I knew it, before I had any fish on the leaderboard, I didn't even count my first 3-4 fish I had caught. Um, Started right there on the hard grass, the Kissimmee grass, reeds. Um, First thing in the morning, then moved out later in the day to the hydrilla and the pepper grass, and right there in the middle, and didn't move too far from the boat ramp. I'd say no more than 500-600 yards from the boat ramp all day.
Nice, nice. So what was your key ticket to catching your fish?
The old school Florida fishing, throwing a weedless swim bait with a flashy swimmer and old speed worm. That's about it.
Speed worm. It's it's amazing to see how many fish are caught off of the speed worm down here.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's amazing. It's just throw whatever color you got, throw it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to really matter at all.
and I think I threw a speed worm once my whole life in one tournament. Didn't catch anything on it. I threw them, put them away until I moved down here, and now it's
Absolutely.
a staple. It's a
Yep.
staple. Awesome, awesome. So, what was your biggest fish, Jason?
19 and a quarter. Skinny 19 and a quarter.
Skinny. Still
Skinny.
skinny. It doesn't matter in a kayak tournament. It's all about
That's
length,
it.
right?
That's all. That's it. That's it.
That's
So
it.
yeah, that was my biggest one, 19 and a quarter. I believe there was a 17 and then 16s filled out the rest. So it was a decent day. Could
That's
ask for a little bit bigger fish, but I'll take those any day. A limit's nice.
absolutely. Hey, I would take anything. All I had was 11 and a half, which was sad.
Ah, yeah,
Sad day.
yeah. Well,
Very sad
better than
day.
a
But
skunk.
Toho has not been good to me anyway. So,
Well,
you know,
that's the first time I fished the lake. Didn't do any pre-fishing. Just went out there Saturday morning and said, send it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's, sometimes that's the best way to do it. I mean,
Absolutely. Go
honestly,
out there, have fun.
for sure. So, Tim, tell us about what kind of ride you're in. Are you still in the free or are you in something different?
No, I've got a native Titan. So
Okay.
yeah,
Excellent.
I like it. I'm getting a little older, so it's getting a little heavy. I want to try that new one out. you know, but
I know somebody that's got one.
I know.
I'll let you
Super
borrow it.
nice. So, do you have the 10, the 12, or the 13?
I got the 12.
12. Nice. I had the Slayer Max, and I really like that one as well. So tell us how your day went, Tim.
Well,
Starting out.
I went out not expecting much. I mean, I would have been thrilled to get my 5 fish, to be honest with you. I struggle at Toho. I've always struggled. I haven't fished it in about 2 years. So I didn't do any pre-fishing or anything. So my idea going out there this time was, since I never do well, don't do what you normally do. Quit going back to that same routine. So, I usually fish the edges, fish a frog, fish a rodent up close to the edges and stuff like that. I headed straight out to the middle. Found some vegetation, casted my way through, got a big hit. It came off. So I knew they were there. So I hung around there for probably, I caught my first fish around 8:30, no, 7:30, 7:40 or something like that. Went through, I think my last fish, it shut down probably at about 10:30. They were hitting like crazy. I could see them swarming, chasing bait. I was just throwing my lure right on them and they're hitting. But I only ended up with 3 there. So it shut down. So I was happy to have 3 at that point. So I managed to get 2 more, one in the middle of the day, one at the very end of the day, which capitalized it basically,
Awesome. Awesome. And your last one came in at what time at the end of the day?
Oh, it was right at the end. I mean, really right at the end. And I'd pretty much given up. I was on my way in, coming up to the canal towards the ramp. I was fishing an edge of weeds. I looked out and I saw the weeds went to a point. So I said, you know what? I got enough time. I'll go fish that point. I throw my lure. And for some reason, my lure, the whole day, same lure, the KVD, the whole day, normally you wouldn't fish treble hooks through the weeds like this. It wasn't catching weeds. I don't understand why. It was just dragging through them. So I was throwing it in these shallow weeds and stuff, and I see a big bass just roll. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It missed. So I flipped it 2 more times. Sure enough, hit it, went straight down in the weeds, and I had to just yank it up out of the grass. So it was definitely
Nice.
in the closing moments, last 10 minutes.
And that was your big fish, right?
That was my big fish, yeah.
And was it 20? What
20
was that? 20 and a half. Nice. So was it skinny
Tim,
or
can you
was
talk
it
about the other?
healthy?
Oh, well, that was kind of it was a very interesting day. The whole day was just not the normal day for fishing for me. It was I was kind of at peace. When I was out there, I had my 3 fish. I said to myself, Lord, I'm good. Thank you for the 3 fish. Whatever happens from here, I'm good to go. So about an hour later, of course, your mind starts going, and you're like, one more fish would be sweet. Nice, one more nice big fish would be nice. Right at that moment, I look over, and floating right next to me is a bass, like barely moving, just kind of like this a little bit. And I look over, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I go over, I'm like, maybe I can revive this thing, help it out. I start dragging. I'm like, this thing's huge. I put it on my board. I'm like, 23 and a half inches. I'm like, I'm like, get this thing away from me. Throw it back in the water. I'm like, get it away. So, at that point, I'm like, well, it is what it is. 3 fish. I'm happy. I'm good to go. But middle of the day, I got a small one. And then right at the end, I was just blessed with the last one hit. Without that was the difference between first and like 25th place, that last fish. So
Nice. It's amazing what the end of the day will come about.
yeah,
I like the end of the day a lot of times.
yes, I do too now.
So for everyone and ones that didn't hear at the tournament, what were you catching them on? If you don't mind sharing.
I used one lure the whole time, the KVD crankbait. The one lasted me the whole way. The last fish, the trebles broke on it. So I never switched. At one point I was actually sitting in my kayak. I kept thinking, maybe I should switch, but because I was going to switch to something else that wouldn't catch weeds. But for some reason, this just I was blasting right through it, and that's what was actually getting them excited. It was about a 4-foot diver. It would go down into the weeds, and I'd give it a couple tugs, and as it yanks out, it would excite them coming out of the weeds, and they would grab it. So, it worked really well. At one point, I was sitting in my kayak. I crank it up. I put the rod straight in the air, and I'm about to cast, and my lure literally just falls off the line right next to me in the water. I'm like, well, maybe it's this lure. But it was right there. I picked it up, tied it on again, and kept fishing the rest of the day, one lure. So, I did switch. I did go 3 different times. I went back to the shore when it shut down, to see if I could get anything. And then I'd just come back out to the weeds out in the middle.
Wow. Well, I tell you, it just sounds like it was meant for you to take that one home.
Yeah,
for sure.
Even
everything fell into place.
I don't know if that fog hit the whole lake or not. Jason, you're at the south end, you said?
Yeah, I was at the south end, and it was bad down there till probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock, actually.
Yeah, out in the middle of the lake, it was a little, you couldn't see anything.
It's
your visibility
was in the middle,
and you just hear buzzing of boats getting louder. You're like, oh boy.
Yeah,
I could hear voices from guys in a boat, and I literally thought they were maybe 50 yards away. Finally, the fog lifted, and they were hundreds of yards away. I couldn't believe how far away they actually were.
Yeah, it's amazing. The sound carries so well out there in
Oh,
the fog. It's
it was
amazing.
so beautiful out there. It was like glass too. You could see every little bait. The bass
Yep.
were just chasing the baits and spraying.
Every needlefish would jump out of the water. Yeah,
Yep.
It was awesome. It was a great day.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Hopefully Kissimmee will.
Well, I was
Exactly.
Yep, that's the fog rolling in.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
I think I got it across the lake, right across the channel there where the boats screamed through right before they released all the bass boats. So I'm glad I got across. Sean messaged me. He said, "Did you make it across okay?" I'm like, yep.
How many boats were in that? Is it a
Oh
lot?
man, they were just blasting by there for a little bit.
Yeah, I was worried about Todd. I heard the boats ripping across, and that's right after the boats came through. That fog like dropped in and got pretty hard to see across the lake. I couldn't see Todd after that fog set in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
some
I hugged up to one of those pylon, those wooden channel marker pylon mile markers there. So I figured at least if they was to hit that, at least maybe that might just spread them around me a little bit.
No, yeah, Mid Lake. I've spent a lot of time on Toho, and I fished it was like 7:45, 8 o'clock, and I turned around. I was like, I don't have a clue where I'm at. And you know how sometimes your fish finder will lag on the mapping.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. I'm looking around. I can't see the bank anywhere near me. Can't see the islands. And I had to break out Google Maps on my phone to kind of get back in the right direction. That's how foggy it was where me and Todd were at.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad pretty much, I guess, across the whole lake because, the south side was nasty. I couldn't see guys 100 yards from me in the fog.
Yeah. Luckily, I had
Last
a
year we
big
had
area of
cold
grass.
weather and wind. Sorry.
I was just saying, I luckily had an area of weeds that had blown up and get caught in the middle. So I had a reference point that would come in and out of sight. So I kind of knew where as long as I kept that little piece of weeds in line, in my sight, I knew where I was.
New award, give out a compass. No, my reference point where what I should have saw was Paradise Island, but I was 150 yards away. I couldn't even see Paradise Island.
Yeah.
I was snugged right up next to it.
Saved me.
I wanted to get back across, but I wasn't taking the chance because those boats were just screaming through there, and I'm like, I'm just going to wait right here. And it seemed like it took forever for the fog to lift enough where we could see to get out. Look at that photo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was sent to me
Crazy.
by one of our anglers just a minute ago, so I figured I'd share it.
I will say I've only been on Toho 3 times. No, 4 times now. One time pre-fishing, that was last year, and then the cold part, and then once this summer until today. And 3 of those times, the fog has been very, very bad. So apparently Toho must get pretty foggy. I'm not around it that much, but I'm just assuming it gets pretty foggy.
This time of year, it always seems to get foggy in that area.
Usually when I'm there, it's windy.
Yeah.
It was nice to fish it flat like that.
I wish the wind would
I
have
would
been a
have
little bit more.
non-win for a tournament for a change. That's for sure.
Well, here's a little comment from Amy. She said the worst part were the bugs, and I did learn that about the gnats for the very first time after being down here in Florida from Toho. The gnats were really bad there,
Yeah.
and they were bad the other day.
Yeah, good old hydrilla nets, as I like to call them.
Yeah, the hydrilla gnats. Fellsmere is literally the worst spot I've been to. The wind's not blowing out there. You're miserable.
I think midday I had to run into my truck and get a T-shirt out of my truck because I forgot a buff. I didn't bring one for some reason. I cleaned it out. I had a T-shirt over my head with a little, the shirt sleeve looking through it. Helped a lot. I was inhaling them. I mean, I needed the buff just so I wouldn't inhale them, just breathing.
Yep. Yep, keeping them out of your nose and your mouth, your ears. That was the hardest thing to do all day.
Yep.
Randy said he ate a few hundred of them.
Hey. No, Toho, I mean, still, I can tolerate what Toho produced. Fellsmere is a whole nother beast when it comes to hydrolla gnats. I don't know.
I have to agree. I've been out there on a slick, calm day, like no wind at all, and it's bad. It's bad out there on Fellsmere.
Yeah, I made a bad choice. I took Sophia out on Fellsmere, and my daughter in her own kayak, and I was in mine. It was one of those flat, calm days, and like they were in her eyeballs and her
She
ears.
probably never wanted to go again.
Yeah, she's pretty hesitant about going out these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think the very first time I went out to Toho, and it was like I think it was New Year's Day of last year, and I mean the gnats were just everywhere, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And I'm taking bug spray all over. Even bug spray didn't keep them off.
No, it doesn't work. Nothing works on them. You just got to deal with them. Put a buff on and roll.
Yeah,
Well, I told my wife, I said, the only thing that you could see on me was just my glasses, because I had the bug pulled up to here, the hoodie on, the hat, I had gloves, and I still got, I said, anywhere that there was skin, they're like here on my little pinky, the mosquitoes would find those little spots. And I'm like, God, bugs here are crazy.
I kept putting sunblock on because I didn't have the buff. Every time I'd rub the sunblock, I'd rub the back of my neck, and it felt like sand because of all the bugs that were like stuck in sunblock. It was awful.
Oh, that's funny. So it looks like we lost Bailey. He was having some internet issues. So maybe he'll be back on here in a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, guys, congratulations on y'all's win. First place, second place, y'all did a phenomenal job. I know it was a good day for some. It was a tough day for others. I will say it was a very tough day for me. I don't like hydrilla. So hopefully we're coming up soon to some lakes that I like to fish where there's not that much hydrilla. So I always seem to do really bad. I haven't figured out the hydrilla stuff yet. Getting there, but haven't quite figured it out. So Scott Stevens says dryer sheets under your hat. Here we go. Scott Gibbons says dryer sheets under your hat works. We'll have to give that a try.
Would you say, Jason?
I love the hydrilla except for the gnats. That's why I hate hydrilla. It's the gnats. If it was without the gnats, I'd be on hydrilla all the time. But I'd rather go to a lake with some eelgrass or some shrimp grass or something like that instead.
Well, I found out that I like fishing the eelgrass and I like fishing the reeds. The Kissimmee grass, that kind of stuff I like pretty well. But the hydrilla, I just can't, I don't know. It's just so thick, I can't figure it out. I know you got to get through it, but I don't know. It's just something about it. I guess it messes with my head a little bit. So any tips anybody can give me on fishing hydrilla, I'll greatly take it.
Find the holes in the hydrilla patches. That's one of the keys is finding the holes. If you find the holes, they're usually in there. Find those little shade pockets.
Yeah. I'm still working on that. I'll get there. I'll get there eventually.
We're all still working on it, that's for sure.
Then you go the next time and it's changed.
Exactly. Never the same.
Yeah, the one thing that I haven't found here in Florida yet that I would love to find is deep holes with rock. And most everything is, weeds or sand.
It's all the man-made lakes here.
Yeah.
They cut into the rock for the neighborhoods down here.
Yeah, that is one thing that I haven't found too much of. But I'd say, I guess the closest thing for me has been Tenor Rock on Lake B.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
The stick ups and the rock stuff. Yeah, for sure.
We don't have any rocks down here in Highlands County, but there's a lot of offshore brush piles. So you definitely come down to Highlands County, fish deep holes. You come down to Lake Placid, 30, 40-foot lakes down here. So,
Ooh, nice.
yeah.
And where is that at? I'm trying to figure out where that's at.
Just south of Polk County.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
just south, straight down 27. Can't miss it.
Istapoga.
It's
Yeah,
down by your favorite lake.
Yeah, Istapoga's down there. You got Lake Placid. That's a killer lake. Couple smaller lakes I won't mention. Try and keep them under the radar for myself.
Hey, Todd pulled off a W on Istapoga last year. I don't know if you guys know that or not.
That's what I heard. Yeah, Daryl was telling me about that one.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I just happened to slide in on the right spot at the right time.
I was gonna say I heard you beat a couple guys to that spot.
Yeah, I was on my way back to the ramp, if it tells you anything. I was on my way back to the ramp, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to fish this weed line right here. And first couple of casts, boom, the big one. And
Nice.
I think everybody heard me. They might have heard me over there on Okeechobee from there.
Me and Bailey are going to go out there with a weed eater on our kayaks and chop it all down so it can't be found.
The sad part is I only live like 10 minutes away from it.
Oh,